Right. Okay, guys. Hope you can hear me. Send me a thumbs up if you can hear me properly online. So, hope you can hear me. Right. So, try to turn on the videos better if you can turn on the video. Right. Okay. So, today I'm going to do a quick, this is not a quick revision. This is a full discussion regarding the financial statement of a sole proprietorship business. Right. So I have already sent the tutorial to the WhatsApp group. So those who are in the class, hope you have received the tutorial, and also in the pre-class group, hope you have taken the printouts of the received tutorial. So what I want to tell you in here, first of all, just remember today we can't do everything within this 2-3 hours. Why? In here, this includes different adjustments as well. Hope you can hear online. Better if you can turn on the videos, right? I appreciate. So class වල ඉන්න අයවත් video on කරගන්න බං ටක් ගාලා. Right? Turn on the videos. Hope you can hear me. Right, others? Sandil, Sanoli, Pariha, Avish. Right? Turn on the videos. Right. So now what I want to tell you in here, just remember, now most of them you should be able to understand these adjustments, then you can apply those adjustments to these statements. Now you know in O levels also you have prepared in commerce subject financial statements in a sole proprietorship business, right? PNL and SFP, a small thing, right, in O levels. But when it comes to A levels, sometimes you may think it's quite difficult. Why? Because of having many adjustments, right? Now I have summarized the adjustments into the mainly 8 topics, right? Mainly 8 topics in this lesson, right? So yeah, I'll send it you to the Zoom chat as well. I'll send it you to the Zoom chat. Uh, you can open it as well, right? Yeah, I have already now right. Right, this is the tune. Make sure to open or take the printouts, right? Okay. Now there are mainly 8 kind of adjustments relevant to here. But today in this tube, this is just a part 1. So my full tube comprises around 50 pages. There is only 16 pages in here, right? So I'll do part 2 as well. It will be also a free class, a free seminar. In later, I mean like next week or another date, I'll do the part 2 as well, right? So then you can join for that as well. So today in this tube, so there is no any big calculations. Big calculations are also there in the tube, but I'll send it to you later. So in here today, I'm going to discuss only the adjustments regarding these things. Adjustments relevant to accrual concept. Under that, there are 4 adjustments, right? Accrued expenses, expenses payable, accrued income, income receivable, prepaid expenses, income received in advance. Is it clearly online? Send me a thumbs up, right? So then adjustments relevant to inventory or the stocks, right? Closing stock, damaged goods, goods then on the basis of sales or return. This part is really important. ගොඩක් අය අමාරුයි කියන, right? Goods in transit, stock donation, stock drawings. Then Bad debts, impairment losses. Now, you may have heard this word bad debt from your levels as well. But when it comes to nowadays, now there's another word called impairment losses, right? Provision for doubtful debt, in another word, allowance for impairment losses, right? So depreciation, EPF, ETF, VAT, and all other big calculations by including all the adjustments, right? We'll be discussing other word. These four are small things. We can go within like 1 hour, right? So that is how it goes, right? Okay. Now, before moving to that, right? You need to have a proper idea about the thing. You know, in here, what is the topic? We discuss financial statements in a sole proprietor business. You know, sole proprietorship business means owned by one individual, right? Now, mainly we prepare two things: P&L, which means profit or loss statement. In another word, we call as income statement in the past, right? So P&L, profit or loss statement, right? So in another word, we call as P&L, right? Or income statement. Second one, statement of financial position. Statement of financial position, right? So we call as SOFP, right? Okay. So first of all, you need to know the structure before moving to the adjustments of these things, right? Why we do adjustments? Now you know day-to-day business transactions happen. In the cash receipt, we record in the cash receipt journal and comes to the cash control account in the ledger and other relevant account credit. When we made the cash payments, cash we record in the cash payment journal and comes to the cash control account credit side and relevant other account debit in the ledger. Easy, clear to you guys online, right? Hope you can hear me, right? So try to stay with the videos, then we can have interactive sessions, right? And the other thing what I want to tell you now, just remember why we do adjustments. We do adjustments at the end of the accounting period. You know, if I take 2024 2025 accounting period, right? So 1st of April 2024 ends on 31st of March 2025, right? So why we do adjustments in here? You know, we prepare financial statements at the end of the accounting period. There are some things we need to adjust in the financial statements, by because in here we comes with the daily routine, just only the daily transactions are happening, right? So in order to take the now in PNL, you know, we calculate financial performance of the business, financial performance, or the another word, operational result, or in another word, net profit. In here, statement of financial position, we present financial position of the business. To obtain the accurate picture, accurate financial performance and the financial position, we need to do the adjustments at the end of the accounting period. That's why we do. Because you know there are accounting concepts, right? Accounting concepts also I will do in next month first week in the class. So still you don't have a clear idea about, there are different like 13 accounting concepts. We need to we apply accounting concepts and the accounting standards, right? So to the financial statements, to obtain now to adhere to those things, we do adjustments at the end of the period. Is it clear? To send me a thumbs up. That is the thing, what is the term called? Adjustment entries, right? For an example, I'll take like, uh, for an example, we take depreciation. What is the term called depreciation? Depreciation means reducing the value of the non-current assets. It is not a transaction. It is not happening with another outside party. We are not giving cash or receiving cash anyhow. So depreciation means we decrease the value of the non-current assets. So property, plant and equipment comes under non-current asset category, right? So in order to obtain the correct net value in here, we need to do the depreciation. It is not happening with other outside part, right? So that is the theoretical part. Okay, now, so in your writing book or in a better to have a book, write the heading financial statements of a sole proprietorship business. Let's go to the calculation financial statements of sole proprietorship business. Right. Now, what I want to tell you first, let's go with the structure. You need to have a clear idea about the structure, right? You need to have a clear idea about the structure of those two. First one, I'll go with the uh, profit or loss statement. ABC business. Profit or loss statement. We take for the year ended. For the year ended. Why? 31st March 2025. In P&L, we include income and expenses to calculate the net profit, right? So we include income and expenses to calculate the net profit. We concern income and expenses during the year, whole year, right? So, right. I'll take the simplest one now. So, right, you know the process. First, we take sales. From that, we deduct sales return. Sales return. Or in another word, return inwards. Then we take the net sales. Net sales. First of all, you need to have the structure, then we can go proper. From sales, we deduct cost of sales. Cost of sales. How to calculate the cost of sales? First, we take opening stock of the business. We did this one in the class, right? To that, we add purchases. Purchases. And we deduct purchase return. Purchase return. In another word, return outwards. Return outwards. Then we get the net purchase. So we add carriage inwards. So loading and unloading cost. Loading and unloading cost. So then we can take, if I take opening stock as A, net purchases as B, carriage inward C, loading and unloading cost D. There are three columns actually. So when we are learning the full format, you can have a clear idea. I'm just giving the brief idea, right? Why we need to do the adjustments. When we are doing the adjustments, we need to know how it impact to P&L and SFP both, right? So then we take the cost of goods to be sold, cost of goods to be sold. From this, we deduct the closing stock. Right? So we can get the cost of sales. Sales minus cost of sales. Then we obtain the gross profit. You know, apart from the sales, all other income are categorizing under operational income are categorizing under other income, right? So once we add other income, we deduct other expenses. No, there are different expenses, right? Expenses. First, we take the distribution. Then the second, administration expenses. Listen to this carefully. Really important these parts. Why I'm giving the structure, you can have a clear idea. Then we deduct the other expenses. Finally, financial expenses. Right. So this is the format of the P&L. Okay, you know, to the gross profit we add relevant other income. I'm not going to give the examples because it takes time. Then we deduct expenses, distribution, administration, other and finance. Then we can calculate the net profit. So, net profit, right? So by including income and expenses, we calculate uh, net profit in the profit or loss statement. Now the other thing, now you need to know there is another thing called ledger account format. That is the important part I want to tell you, because when we are doing the adjustment, sometimes you know you can see debit side comes as P and L, credit side comes as P and L likewise. Now you know in the past we prepare financial statements using ledger account, T account format. So in that we include credit side expenses, right? Debit side income, right? Sorry, the other way, right? In that we include credit side income, debit side expenses, right? This is the way we include credit side income, debit side expenses. So why we are not using this one? Because no one can understand this format. Now you know, for an example, I'll take one thing. You know, income accounts, BBF under credit side, BBF. So we take the balance to the debit side as P&L and transfer to the credit side in. You know, expense accounts, balance brought forward, debit side. We write it credit side as P&L and transfer to here. Likewise, that is the kind of a transferring entry comes to a online. Is it clear to you? Send me a thumbs up, right? So we need to know when we are doing the adjustments. you can have a clear idea about this one, right? Next one, statement of financial position, right? Statement of financial position. You need to have a clear idea about that one as well. If I take ABC business, statement of financial position, statement of financial position as at 31st March 2025. So you can see there are three columns as cost. Better if you can turn on the videos, huh? Accumulated depreciation and the net value, right? Okay. So, you know, first we take the assets. You know, these three columns apply only for the assets or that comes under non-current assets. You know, under non-current assets, we can identify property, plant and equipments, which means building, motor vehicle, equipment. Those kinds of things are subject for the depreciation. So that's why we take three columns, right? Easy clear to you guys? Okay, you're doing this one, right? Okay, then the current assets, right? So then we write the equity, know the format of the equity, right? Capital, additional capital. So minus drawings plus net profit. The profit which we calculated through income statement belongs to the owner, so it comes to here. Then we take the liability, non-current liability, and the current liability, right? You know the business total assets, total assets should be equal to the total equity and liability, total equity and liability, right? So just remember, though we draw three columns, so from current asset onwards, we use only the last two columns. These cost, accumulated depreciation and value, only applicable for non-current assets, not for all the non-current assets. PP in the non-current assets. These are the two full formats. First of all, you need to have a clear idea about full format. If you understood it, send it to the chat box or send me a thumbs up. Hello. Yamming in no natambe madakameli. Right? Turn on the videos, Sandil, Sigma. Hope you can hear me, Sanuli. Right? So these are the full formats, right? Okay, right? So you need to have a clear idea about these two full formats, right? Now I told you, just remember, we prepare income statement, profit or loss statement at the end of the period concerning the whole year income and expenses, but we prepare a statement of financial position only concerning the assets, liability and equity exists at the end of the accounting period. That's why when we are writing the name, you can see uh, in profit or loss statement we write for the year end. You can see for the year end, but in statement of financial position we write as at. And also you need to have a clear idea about the T format, right? So in the past we wrote all the assets under credit side, liability and equity in here. Liability and equity, right? Liability and equity. There is no any transfer entry like, asset accounts brought forward debit side. So asset account credit, this is debit, no, like it's only applicable for here. But when we use the P&L, sorry, when we use the ledger account format, we prepare the financial statements like this. This is the oldest format for both P&L and SFP. Uh, but you need to know this one when we are doing the adjustments, these two things, right? Where we record income credit, expenses debit, to assets in here, again liability in here, right? So I told you to uh, display accurate values in our to present accurate values in our P&L and SFP. We need to do the adjustments. First one, let's go with the first adjustments. Adjustments related to accrual concept. What is the term called accrual concept? Accrual concept means relevant for the income and expenses. Though we received or not, the income relevant for the period should be identified as income in the profit or loss statement. Though we paid or not, expenses relevant for the period should be identified as expenses in the profit or loss statement. Correct? Yes. Is it clear to you guys? Can you hear me? Right? Hope you can hear me. Right? So, what is the term called accrual concept? Tell me. Right? Yes. Accrual concept means, uh, you know, it's relevant for income and expenses. Though we paid or not, expenses relevant for the period identify as expenses in the P&L. Uh, though we received or not, income relevant for the period should be identified as income in the P&L. That's why, when we are preparing the income statement, in here we include both cash sales and credit sales in under sales, for an example, right? Okay, guys, right? So though we received or not, so credit sales also comes under sales. In here, not only the cash purchase, credit purchases also comes under here. Credit purchase වලට එවෙලේ සල්ලි හම් වෙන්නේ නැහැ, පස්සේනේ සල්ලි. අපි සල්ලි ගෙවන්නේ. credit purchase වලට අපි පස්සේනේ සල්ලි ගෙවන්නේ. ඒත් අපි ඒක එතනට දානවා. Right? So that is the thing. So when we are applying accrual concept, so there are four things: accrued expenses or expenses payable, accrued income or income receivable, prepaid expenses, and the other things is income received in advance. Let's see one by one. First of all, right now, first read this one. Each of the every transaction a specific time period should be considered to calculate the accurate operational result. It's relevant for to a certain period and for the accurate calculation of financial portion of the business. However, some of the transactions related to the period not may not be in the books of accounts at the end of the time period as well. Some transactions are being changed according to the time period. Entries that we use to include in the transactions of a specific time period to the accounts that have not written to make the relevant some information of accounting books into the accounting period are called as adjustment entries. These adjustments are done to the entries of the general journal by including relevant double entries in the ledger. Adjustment entries are also being recorded in the general journal after preparing a journal voucher. Right. Types of adjustment entries. First one, adjustments relevant to the accrual concept. The ideal of this concept is when calculating the financial performance operational results of a certain period, each expenses of the period should be considered. Yes, you consider. All right. Hope you can hear me, right? Considered when it is paid or unpaid, and each income of the period should be considered whether business received money or not. We can find four entries under this: accrued expenses, accrued income, prepaid expenses, income received in advance. Okay, I'll explain it simply. First one, I'll explain it simply. Two things: accrued expenses or expenses payable, accrued income. Now, if accrued relevant with expenses, which means payable. If accrued relevant with income, which means receivable, right? Accrued කියන වචනේ expense income දෙකටම එනවා. Accrued එක expense එක්ක එනවා නම් payable. Accrued එක income එක්ක එනවා නම් receivable. Now think like this. For an example, think we need to pay rent this year. The total rent relevant for the period is 150,000. Total rent relevant for the period is how much? 150,000. Now we record in the cash payment journal, and it comes to the cash control account credit side. Cash control account credit side and rent expense account debit side. The amount relevant for the period is 150,000. But think we paid only, I'll take using thousands. We paid only 120. So when we paid cash control account credit, rent expense account debit, we paid only 120. The amount relevant for the period 150. Till the end of the time period, we haven't paid how much? 30,000. Now, to the landlord or to the building owner, we express we will pay the balance 30,000 in next accounting period, which means 2025 to 6 accounting periods. Yeah, we are in a financial crisis. So anyhow, sometimes අමතකුණා හරි මොනා හරි නිසා අපිට 30,000 ගෙවන්න බැරි. Now you know rent is an expense account. So we need to present the rent expense account using the accrual concept. We need to present the amount relevant for the period. In order to obtain that, we need to debit 30,000. Because you know, rent account at the end of the period should be identified as 150,000 because that is the amount relevant for the period. But we can't credit to the cash control account because we are not paying it. We are paying it next year. So it is, since we haven't paid it, it is our liability. So we open a new account in the ledger called payable or accrued rent, and we credit that 30,000 in here. So this is a liability account. Is it clear to send me a thumbs up? Liability account, right? Is it clear to you guys? Send me a thumbs up. Right? Hope you can hear me. Send me a thumbs up. Hello. Others, I want your reactions. Are you there, guys? Right. Okay, Sandil and Hasik, Kavish, Pariha. Right. Don't do other things, Pay attention to here. Try to turn on the videos. Asking and right. Better. Turn on the videos. Hurry up. Go. And නැත්තම් වැය කරන්න. බලමු. ඉතිද? And hope you can hear me. Turn on the video. වීඩියෝ ඔන් කරන් ඉන්න එතකොට තමයි එදානේ එතකොට මටත් ගැම්මක් ඉන්නේ රෑ 10 මාරටකම් අදින්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් කම්මැලි වෙනවා. ටිකක් වෙලා ගියාම ඕගොල්ලන්ට එපා. බෑ. right. ටිකක් ඉන්න. හරි. කො සඳිල් Okay. Now, this rent account goes to the P and L. This goes to the P and L, right? So under administration expenses, and this accrued rent account goes to the SOFP as liability, current liability, because we need to pay it next year. Now how we take decisions from this. Now now the stakeholders, when they are observing it, they can have a clear idea, right? They know P&L, prepared accrual concept. When they are observing the P&L, they can see under administration expense there is a rent 150,000. ඒගොල්ලන්ට කියන්න බෑ ගෙව්ව ගාන 150,000 නෙමෙයි. ඒතර ඒගොල්ලෝ දකිනවා P&L එකේ rent කියලා තියෙනවා 150,000. ඒත් එක්කම when they are observing the SOFP under current liability, they can see there is a accrual or accrued or payable rent as 30,000. ඒගොල්ලන්ට තියෙනවා අවුරුද්දට අදාළ ගාන relevant period එකට අදාළ ගාන 150. හැබැයි 30 liability එකක් විදියට අන්තිම වෙද්දි තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ pay කළා තියෙන්නේ 130 කියලා. Sorry, 120 කියලා. They can get to know easy clear to send me a thumbs up, right? That is how it goes. That is the term called accrued expenses or payable expenses. Expenses that are unpaid within the relevant accounting period, even though they happen within the same period. Double entry. What is the double entry relevant for the accrued expenses? Relevant expense account debit by. So the unpaid amount we debit to the expense account because we need to take the amount relevant for the period, right? So relevant expense account debit, accrued expense account credit, because since this is a liability account, we need to uh, present it under SFP as a liability because we need to pay it next month. නැත්නම් අපිට next month එකේ හරි කොහොම හරි අපි ගෙවන්න ඕන. month එකෙදිම ගෙවන්න ඕන. නැත්නම් එහෙම rent එක ගෙවුව නැත්නම් ගහලා පන්නලා දාන්න නේද? right? So we need to pay it. Balance of the accrued expense account should be shown under current liabilities in the statement of financial position because it is a payable. So there is exercise. Exercise number 1. Rupees 26,500 has been paid for the insurance expense of Lakshita's tea business for the year ended 2018 December 31st, and rupees 3,500 payment of insurance of December 2018 has not been paid yet. Right? How we record it? So now let's record everything. Keep space to write these two. Keep space to draw this one later. පිටු දෙකක් විතර තියාගන්න මේ පිටු තුනක් විතර තියාගන්න මේ P&L එක SFP එකේ structures ගහගන්න. මම කොමන්ට් ටියුට් එකෙත් දෙනවා මේවා එහෙම මම I'll send the photos මේ key formats එහෙමත් ගහලා තියාගන්න පිටු තුනක් sides ඔක්කොම දෙකක් විතර sides හතරක් ඔක්කොම තියන්නකො 2 pages විතර තියන්න පස්සේ දෙමු නැත්නම් it takes time, right? Okay, so write example number 1. So this is exercise number 1. Exercise number 1, right? So do with me. I'm not giving any time. In here they are discussing about insurance. We need two things: cash control account and insurance expense account. And another thing we need: accrued or payable insurance. So this is an expense account. This is a liability account, right? You can see paid insurance is 26,500. So cash control account credit 26,500, insurance expense account debit 26,500, right? Next one, 3,500 payments of insurance of December 2018 has not been paid. So what we need to do? We need to debit 3,500, the amount we haven't paid, and Accrued or payable insurance expense account credit 3,500. So what is the uh, adjustment entry? Insurance expense මේක adjust කරන දෙයක් නෑ. මේක monthly give automatically අපි payment voucher එකක් හදලා cash payment journal එකේ ලියලා එනවා. මොකද වාගෙන ආපු ටිකනේ කිව්ව නැති එකනේ. Insurance expense account debit 3,500. Accrued insurance expense account credit 3,500. You know, this one, the balance of this one goes to P&L under administration. This one goes to the SOFP under current liability, right? Under current liability. Okay, write it and raise your hands. Hurry up. This is the exercise number 3. Before that, write the main subheading, accrued expenses or expenses payable. මං කිව්වා පිටු පැති හතරක් ඉඩ තියන්න formats ටික ගහගන්න. පස්සේ write the heading accrued expenses, right? Or pay expenses payable, and do the exercise number 1 and raise your hands. Hurry up faster. Once you finish, raise your hands. පැති හතරයි. පිටු දෙකයි පැති හතරයි. පිටු දෙකයි පැති හතරයි. Once you finish, raise your hands. For that, write the heading accrued expenses. Huh? Line, I want your support. Right? I think full format එක ගහලා රම්මනම් කරලා පැති හතරක් තියෙන තාම ඒකේ අර ඇතුලේ තියෙන ඒවාත් දාන්න එපේ. එයි මම මෙතනදී ඇතුලේ තියෙන ඒවා දැම්මේ නැහැ. මේවා ඇතුලේ එන ඒවා එහෙම samples එහෙම. right? ඒවත් දාගන්නත් එක්ක ඒතර පොඩ්ඩක් ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එක යනවා ටිකක් දිගට. okay? Once you finish, raise your hands. Faster, faster. Things to do. It's just only one small thing. Asit, Sandil, Gaveshi, we have done. Right. Next one. Write the next subheading. Accrued income or income receivable. Right. Now, what is the term called accrued income or income receivable? You know, when we are receiving cash, we record it under cash receipt journal. Cash receipt journal. Right. So, and it comes to the cash control account debit side. Cash control account debit side. Think we need to receive some interest, right? Uh, the interest relevant for the period is rupees 150, is rupees 70,000, but we received only 50,000. ඒ හම්බෙන කොට අපි රිසිප්ට් එකක් හදලා අපි හම්බුනේ 50,000 දැන්ට දාලා cash control account එකේ debit දාලා interest income account එක credit කරලා තියෙනවා. interest income account එක credit කරලා තියෙනවා. හම්බෙච්ච ගාන. Right? So, but amount relevant for the period is how much? Amount relevant for the period is 70,000. So, there is a 20,000 receivable portion, right? You know, this is an income account. You know, income accounts and expense account both, we need to present using actual concept. We need to record the amount relevant for the period. So because of that, the amount we haven't received, we credit how much the relevant for the period, 70. To get 70, we need to credit 20, right? And in the ledger, we open another account called receivable or accrued rent income account. So you know, this is an asset account. Why? අපිට හම්බෙන්න තියෙන දෙයක් අපිට හම්බුනේ නැත්නම් ඒක අපි ඊළඟ අවුරුද්දේ කොහොම හරි ගන්න එපා. Is an our asset account. So we credit to here. So sorry, we debit to here. We debit to here because it asset increase. So what is the adjustment entry? Relevant income account credit, receivable or the accrued income account debit. It is an asset account, right? So where we record, you know, this income account goes to the P&L. This is how goes to under other income. This goes to the SOFP as current assets because they need to pay that interest to us within next 12 months before less than 1 year. Now the stakeholders can have a clear idea. When they are observing the P&L under other income, they can see there is the interest as 70,000 because we in the P&L we identify amount relevant for the period. But when they observe the SOFP as a current asset, they can see receivable interest income 20,000. They can get to know amount relevant for the period 70. Receivable portion is 20. The cash received as cash is 50,000 or 50, right? So that is how it goes. So what is the adjustment entry relevant for the accrued income or receivable income. Receivable income, relevant receivable income account debit. Relevant income account credit. Easy creative, send me a thumbs up. Right? Income that are not received within the relevant accounting period, even though they happen within the same period. So accrued income or receivable income account debit. This is an asset account. Our asset increase. Relevant income account credit. Balance of the accrued income account should be shown under the current asset in the statement of financial position because it is a receivable, right? Okay. So exercise number 2. Let's do the exercise number 2 now. So before that, write the subheading. Uh, Accrued income or receivable income. Let's do the exercise number 2. Exercise number. Let's see. Lakmal's business has a fixed deposit 20,000 within an interest of 15% annually. Only 22,000 was received as interest within the accounting period ended 31st December 2000 31st December 2018. Calculate the accrued income and do the relevant accounts. Now, there's no any information about when we started the deposit. We need to assume the fixed deposit started from the beginning of the accounting period. Now, you know the how much is the fixed deposit interest? You know, if the interest we can calculate, the FD amount is 200,000. 200,000 into 15 upon 100. 15 sorry 200,000 into 15 upon 100. So how much the amount relevant for the period? 30,000, right? 30,000. That is the amount relevant for the period, right? Amount relevant for the. How much we received? Only 22,500. Easy creative guys, send me a thumbs up. Only we received 22,500. How much the receivable portion? Relevant for the period 30,000. Received only 22,500. So how much the relevant for the receivable portion? 7,500. Easy creative. This is the receivable portion, right? This is the receivable portion, right? So we can prepare the relevant account. You know, cash control account, FD interest income account. So we can prepare cash control account, fixed deposit interest income account, right? So this is relevant to fixed deposit interest. So FD is an asset, FD interest is an income. So fixed deposit, sorry, receivable, FD interest income. Right. So you know we received only 22,500. So the received portion, cash control account debit, FD interest income account credit. So the receivable portion 7,500. This is credit, is right. So this goes to the P&L, under other income. This goes to the SOFP, under current assets. So what is the adjustment entry? You can write receivable FD interest account debit 7,500, fixed deposit interest income account credit 7,500. This is an asset account. This is an income account. Finish it and raise your hand. This is a exercise number 2. Once you finish, raise your hand. Faster, huh? හෙට උදේ paper revision class එක කරන්න ඕන. 26 one. People, can you hear me? Right. Finish it and raise your hands fast. All done, right? Right. Right. Next one. We did two things: accrued expenses or expenses payable, accrued income or income receivable. Third one, prepaid expenses in advance payment, right? So next one, I'm going to do things in prepaid expenses. Pre-received income, Prepaid expenses and pre-received income. Two things. First one, prepaid expenses, which means what? We pay next year or more than next year, beyond next year expenses within this year. When we are preparing within this year account, when we are preparing this year accounts, we need to concern that overpaid or prepaid in advance payment as an asset. So අපි ලබන අවුරුද්දේව දැන් ගෙවන. Think about that. We take insurance, right? Now think when your insurance relevant for the period is this year 85,000. I'll take 85. You paid 100. How much is the prepaid amount? 15. So the overpayment we need to identify as an asset, right? For an example, we record it under cash payment journal. I'm not going to draw it. Cash control account credit. $85,000. The payment goes to the cash control account credit side, right? So, and it comes to the insurance expense account. Debit side 85,000. But since this is an expense account, we identify under accrual concept amount relevant for the period only. So we paid 100. We paid 100. Amount relevant for the period is 85. We paid 100. ගෙවද්දි තමයි cash control cash payment journal එකට දාලා insurance expense account එකට debit. We need to present in the expense account amount relevant for the period. Amount relevant for the period is 85. So the overpayment 15, we need to credit. Then the insurance expense account balance to the 85,000. Right? And then we draw the prepaid insurance expense account. And we debit that 15. This is an asset account. Because next year period we already paid within this period. Is it clear to send a thumbs up, guys? Hope you can hear me, right? Gamming. ලබන අවුරුද්දේව දැන් ගෙවනවා. I want thumbs ups. Are you okay up to here? Right? Online? Right. So insurance expense account credit. So prepaid insurance expense account debit. This is an expense account goes to the P&L. Wedding ගියපු ගාන අඩු කරලා 85 තමයි යන්නේ. This is goes to the SOP under current assets. Why? Now when it comes to next year, we don't want to pay this 50. දැන් සමහරලාට ඔය සමහරුත් කරනවානේ. ලයිට් බිල ගෙවන්නේ නැති හිතන්න බිල් එක මේ මාසෙට 35. ඉතින් ඔයාලගේ 50 තියෙනවා නම් ඔයා 50 එක දීලා එනවා. අර අවුරුද්ද බිල් ඊළඟ මාස බිල් එකේදී ඒක අඩු වෙලා තමයි එන්නේ. Right? I'll do the next one as well. Pre-received income. In advance received. Now actually prepaid expenses is an asset to the business. ඊළඟ අවුරුද්දේව දැන් ගෙවන. Pre-received income is a liability. එන ලබන අවුරුද්දේව දැම්ම හම්බ. Understand? For an example thing, uh, let's say, think about rent relevant for the period rent income 180. We receive 220 as rent income, right? We receive 220 as income. Is it clear, you guys? Right. So I'll do three accounts, right? Yes. The prepaid account balance with check ලබන්න 1000 මේකද? නැත්නම් cute එකේද? මේක balance කරාම එන්නේ 85. ඇයි වැඩි පැත්තෙන් අඩු පැත්ත අඩු කරා? ටියුට් එක බලමු ටියුට් එක ගන්න අවුලක් තියෙනවා නම් හදමු සමහර typing එකේ mistake එකක්. Right. Now let's see cash control rent income account. Right. And pre-received rent income. You know, rent income account is an income account. Pre-received rent income is an liability. Is a liability. Right. Now think, I told you we received 220. When we are receiving cash, we credit to the, we record under cash receipt journal and comes to the cash control account debit side and rent income account 220. But we need to identify in the income and expenses relevant for the period. The relevant for the period is 120. How much the excess? 40. So we credit it, we debit it, we credit in here because it is a liability to the business. I'll see. Right. I'll see. So you know this goes to the P&L, rent income account, as the other income. The amount relevant for the period 108. Pre-received income, it goes to the SOFP as current liability. Next year period income we receive within this year. දැන් මේක බලන අයට තේරෙනවා බලන්න. The prepaid expense බලමු. දැන් insurance කියලා P&L එකේ තියෙනවා administration expense වල 85. right? ඒ වගේම prepaid expense කියලා current assets වල තියෙනවා 15,015. ඒකට financial statements බලන අයට තේරෙනවා amount relevant for the period is 85. Sorry, amount relevant for the period is 85 and there's a current asset of insurance 15 as well. They can වැඩිපුරක් ගෙවලා තියෙනවා. Then they can have in here also under rent income. So under other income there's a rent income of 180, the P&L, and also there's a current liability of pre-received income, pre-received rent income 40. එතකොට finance statements බලන අයට තේරෙනවා amount relevant for the period also always in the P&L. Uh, in here 180, but there's a current liability of rent as 40,000. They know there is the excess received, right? So they can have a clear idea, right? Okay, so you can see prepaid expenses in advance payment. If we have paid an expense related to an upcoming year within the current year, it is a prepaid expense and should be shown under the current assets of statement of financial position. Double entry, prepaid expense account debit, why it is an asset, relevant expense account credit. The assessments expense relevant for the period of last year for the year ended 2000 uh, 30,000, 3,000. So හරිනේ, they have paid 15,000. හරි. වැඩිපුර ගෙවලානේ prepaid නේ. අවුලක් නැහැ සමි. right? අවුරුද්දට මේ අපි කතා කරන prepaid නේ. අවුරුද්දට අදාළ ගාන 3,000. ගෙවලා තියෙනවා 15,000. වැඩිපුර excess payment එකක් තියෙනවා. It is not a current asset. It's a current asset. Why? Yes. What is the matter? It's not current assets. මේක අවුලක් තියනවද? කොහෙද අවුලද? Right? So income received in advance, pre-received income, is some of the income that has received within current year related to the upcoming year. That amount is considered as pre-received income. Double entry, relevant income account debit, pre-received income account credit. Right? වැරදි නේද? So double entry should be changed because pre-received income is an asset, right? Right? Okay. So now this should be changed. Sorry, it's okay because this is relevant to income. Relevant income account debit. Why? The excess one we debit and we take it to the amount relevant. Pre-received income is a liability. That's why we credit. Because pre-received income is payable, it should be shown under current liability. Right. Lakruan's business has rented the building they own for 5,000 a month. They have received rupees 75,000 as the rent income for the year ended. 31st March 2019. Calculate the paid income and do the adjustments in relevant accounts. Okay. Can you do 3 and 4? I'll give you a few minutes. I want you to do the 3 and 4. Right? Before doing 3, write the heading. අවුලක් නැහැ just me මේකේ අවුලක් නැහැ නෑ මේකනේ අවුල තියෙන්නේ earlier you wrote 85,000 and 100. what is the matter නෑ අපිට අපිට අපි ගෙව්වේ ගානනේ හැමතිස්සෙම අපි ගෙව්වේ 100 අවුරුද්දට අදාළ ගාන 85 ගෙවන ගාන තමයි cash control account credit ලා insurance expense account එක debit. ඉතින් අපි අවුරුද්දට අදාළ 85 ගන්න නම් මේක ක්‍රෙඩිට් කරලා මේක ඩෙබිට් කරනවා. ඒතර මේක බැලන්ස් කරාම 85 වෙනවා automatically. Understand? සම්දි. right අවුරුද්දට අදාළ ගානනේ ගෙවලා නැහැ නේ වැඩිපුරත් එක්ක ගෙවලානේ. අවුලක් නැහැ නේ. right ඔව් ටියුට් එකේ එකයි දෙකක් මේ මම නිකන් ගන්න එක්සැම්පල් එක මේ ටියුට් එකේ එකක් දාලා නැහැ. රයිට්? ටියුට් එකේ එක වෙනයි මම මේ නිකන් කියලා දෙන එක. ටියුට් එකේ එකත් එක්ක මේක කම්පෙයාර් කරන්න. The relevant income account belongs which relevant income account means income category. Right? So if you need you can write. So these things accrued expenses, the relevant expense account is an expense account. Why we debit? Because expense increase. Accrued expense account credit because liability increase. First one. First one. Right? So this is relevant to the accrued expense. Expense increase, liability increase. Next one. Accrued income. So in here you know why accrued income account debit? Because asset increase. හම්බෙලා නැති එකනේ. relevant income account credit වෙන්නේ income වැඩි වෙන්න නිසා. මොකද අපි අවුරුද්දට අදාළ ගාන ගන්න. Right? All clear? Next one. Prepaid expenses. Prepaid expense debit means because asset increase. Why? වැඩිපුර ගෙවපු ගාන අපේ asset එක. relevant expense credit වෙන්නේ expense decrease කරනවා. expense account එක decrease වෙනවා. වැඩිපුර over payment එක අපේ expense account එකෙන් අඩු කරනවා. Next one. Income received in advance. Relevant income account debit because you know income increase. Right? So pre-received income account credit, why? It is liability increase. All okay up to here? Hope it's clear. Right? අද පුළුවන් තරම කරමු. ඊට පස්සේ අපි දිගටම මේ ටික කරමු. Right? But normal.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, income increase means that should be credited, right?
Sorry, income decrease. Yeah. ඒ අර වැඩිපුරම වෙච්ච ගාන income එක ගන්න නෙමෙයි. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Income decrease. Now fine, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, thank you. Income decrease. By the over received on, we need to remove from the income account. That's why we debit the. All good, right? So do the act 3 and 4 and tell me the answers. Then I'll do it. I'll give you 3 minutes. The videos it's good නැත්තම් රෑ නිදිමත එයිද රෑ ක්ලාස් බලමු කියලා පන්ති මැරෙන්න හැදුවන්නේ දැන් නිදා ගන්න බෑ. අඳිල් නේද? Hold on. Right. Right. Let's see. Exercise number 3. Yeah. The assessments expense relevant for the period of Lasita's business for the year ended 2020 December 31st 3,000. They have made 15,000 within the current year. In here, I'll take two things. First one, cash control account, assessment, expense account, prepaid, assessment, expense account. Prepaid assessments expense account, it is an asset account. Assessments expense account is an expense account. Right. So we paid during the year 15,000, right? So cash control account credit 15,000, expense account debit 15,000, right? So the amount relevant for the period is 3,000, right? So how much we overpaid? 12,000. Assessments expense account credit, prepaid assessments expense account debit. So what is the adjustment entry? Prepaid assessment expense account debit 12,000, assessments expense account credit 12,000. Assessments expense account is an expense account. It goes to the P&A. This is a current asset. Goes to the asset. Hope it's clear to you. Send me a thumbs up, guys. Right? Hope you're okay with that one. Yeah, me know. Just wait. Next one. Right. So exercise number 4. Exercise number 4. Lacroix's business has rented the building they own 5,000 per month. They have received rupees 75,000 as the rent income. Now let's see how much we receive. Sorry, how much relevant for the period? Level video right? So so how much relevant for the period? This is about rent, right? So we can write cash control account, rent income account, pre-received rent income. This is a liability, is an income, right? So how much we receive? We received 75,000, right? So we received 75,000. Cash control account debit 75,000. Rent income account credit 75,000, right? Okay, right. Nice. So now how much is relevant for the period? The relevant for the period 12 into 5,000, 60. How much pre-received? 15,000. So what we do, we credit this 15,000, we debit to here and we credit, right? So what is the adjustment entry? Rent income account, debit 15,000, pre-received rent income account, credit 15,000, right? Rent income account goes to the P&L as other income. This goes to the SFP as current liability, current, right? Hope it's clear to you. Finish up to here and raise your hand. Finish up to here and raise your hands. Finish up to here and raise your hand. හෙට උදේ එක නිවාඩුවක් දෙන්නද? 7 to 9 වෙන දවසක් කරමුද අපි? Right? But the thing is, Saturday also matters. Sometimes you may have other classes. How about they okay? You don't have any other time, no? Let's do tomorrow morning usual time. Let's see. I'll update the group.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, why did you write 15,000 instead of 60,000?
Sorry.
Why did you write 15,000 instead of 60,000?
Because when we balance this, it automatically comes the 60,000. Understand? We receive.
Sir,
Sorry.
balance should be 50,000, right?
Balance.
15,000.
No, balance should be in here. Balance should be 60,000. No. Balance is not 60,000. 15. Balance එක 60,000 ඉන්නවා කියලා දුවා කියන්නේ.
No, sir, I am saying balance should be, it says the monthly rent is 5,000 and they have earned a monthly rent for 3 months.
They have received 75,000 the income for the year.
So they should receive 15,000.
Yeah, they received 7. So I beg your pardon. No. It's like this. So then make a balance එක තියෙනවා 15,000. මේකනේ වැඩිපුර හම්බුනේ අපිට. Right? Make a income account. We record under accrual concept. We need to know the relevant for the period. Make a balance කරාම වෙන්න ඕනේ relevant for the period. 60,000. Understand? 8,000. There's a matter you can
Sir, then what should be the balance?
What should be balanced in which one? You ask.
Rent income.
Rent income balance 60,000.
Why 60,000? Because they only earn for 3 months.
Why? Sorry.
Why it is 60,000? Because they earn a rent income for 3 months. 3 months means
3 months කියලා දිනවද
15,000.
එහෙම? මම එහෙම එකක් දැක්කේ නැහැ. 3 months කියලා නැහැනේ. Because annual monthly 5,000.
Since it's a 31st of March.
31st. No. In accounting, we concern the financial period April to March 31st. මේක building එක rent කරපු දවසක් කියලා නේද? So for the year ended 31st March 2019 කියන්නේ right? Beginning period එක 1st of April 2018. අර O level වල වගේ ජනවැරි to December මේ අපේ යන.
Okay, sir, I got it now. Thank
Got
you,
it?
sir.
Got it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay. So our accounting period like this. April 1st to March 31st. And clearly said year ended, right? Yeah, okay, you can ask questions. It's good. අපි රැට දාමුකෝ. ඉතින් ගැම්මට ඉන්නවා වුණාට පේන්නේ නැහැ ගැම්මට. Right? Hold on. Right. Okay. Right. Now you can see all 4 adjustments up to here. Still we are in the out of all main heading 8. Just we finished the first one. You can see Accrued expenses, if you need, you can write in the tutorial page number 4, right? You can write. So this is accrued expense. What is the adjustment entry? Relevant expense account debit, accrued expense account credit. Prepaid expenses. Prepaid expense account debit, relevant expense account credit. This is accrued income. In here, accrued expense means payable. This is accrued income means receivable. So in here, pre-received income. Right? Why we debit relevant expense account? Because in here expense increase, liability increase, the accrued expense. Prepaid expenses, this is assets increase, expense decrease, right? Accrued income, this is asset increase, income increase, relevant for the pre-received income. In here, income decrease, liability increase. Can you scroll up to here and raise your hand? Scroll up to here and raise your hands. Answer finished, raise your hands. Got the printout, write it. Waiting for your raise hands. Right. All good, right? Shall I move forward? Until done? Right. Next, there is another exercise. This is a homework for you. Let's do one. Let's do this one in the paper revision class. Make sure to remember. අපි නොකරපු ඒවා numbers දාලා තියාගෙන මට පස්සේ කරන්න. Okay. Now first one done. Right. Out of the whole 8. අද මේ ටිකවත් කරන්න බැරි වෙයි. මොකද especially මේ bad debt, doubtful debts ඔය ඔක්කොම යනවා. අද අපි stocks ටිකෙනුත් පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනකම් කරමු. Other things I'll do. This part is really important, very very important. මේවා තමයි අමාරුයි කියන්නේ. So pay attention, don't do other things, right? I want your attention, right? Adjustments related to inventory or stocks, right? We need to maintain stocks according to the standards. So let's see what are the adjustments relevant to stocks. First one, adjustments relevant to closing stock. You know, closing stock we need to identify as an asset. For an example, you know, right? Now when we take about stocks, you know, there are opening stocks, during the year purchases, and the closing stock. The closing stock should be identified as an asset. Clear? So what is the double entry? Closing stock is the value of the unsold goods of the business at the end of the accounting period. Calculation of this should be completed with Sri Lankan accounting standards. According to that, the rule is calculation should be done selecting the lower one between cost and net realizable value. It's like this. I'll write two things, right? Look here, we are discussing about closing stock. Part is really important. Repeat. So let's write the same thing, income state. Oh, better I can write cost of sales. Cost of sales. Ready? Closing stock account. Maybe. Look here, part is very important. Right. I'll tell you why I write a credit side of the cost of sales. I'll explain everything proper. Right. Now there are two things: cost, net realizable value. What is that called? Net realizable value. Can you hear me, guys? Send me a thumbs up. I'll explain properly. Send me a thumbs up. Right. It's like this. Cost means the one amount we sacrifice to purchase or produce. Right. net realizable value means our expected selling price of the cost. අපි විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ගාන. Right? Understand? දැන් closing stock එක. අපි හිතන්න stock එක cost එක 100යි. Right? net realizable value එක 120යි. cost එක 120යි. net realizable value එක 80. I'll take two situations. So, right. net realizable value කියන්නේ අපි විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ගාන. ඒ cost එක සහ අපි විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු. We need to concern the lower out of cost or net realize and net realizable value. දැන් පළවෙනි එකේ cost එක 100, net realizable value එක 120. So the lower one is cost. But in second one, the lower one is net realizable value. අපි අපේක්ෂිත විකුණුම්. හැබැයි net realizable value එක ගන්නෙත් මෙන්න මෙහෙම. Look here. Closing stock should be value for the low one between cost and the net realizable value after physically counting the remaining stock at the end of the year. Even in a situation that the net realizable value lower, the cost of the remaining stock should be shown in the trade account and the lower value should be included in the final portion. Deficit, I want this one. Net realizable value means estimated saleable price of the stock, estimated selling and completing expenses. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් අපි cost එක කියන්නේ අපේ පිරිවැය, net realizable value එක කියන්නේ අපි විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ගාන. හැබැයි විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ගාන ගන්නේ sell කරන්න මොන හරි cost එකක් අපිට යන්න තියෙනවා නම් ඒක අඩු කරලා. හිතන්න අපි මේ අපි විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙච්ච ගාන 104. හැබැයි අපිට පොඩි වියදමක් යනවනේ. ඉතින් ඇයි අපිට ඇඩ්වර්ටයිස්මන්ට් එකක් දාන්න ඕනේ මොනවා හරි යන. ඒක අඩු කරලා ඒ වැලියු එක තමයි 120 ආවේ කියලා. easy creating sense. විකුණන්න වෙන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ගානක් ගන්න cost එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක අඩු කරලා. right? විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් මේ net realizable value එක කියන්නේ විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ගාන. cost එක කියන්නේ අපිට ගත්ත ගාන හරි අපිට හදන්න ගිය ගාන. Now, in first situation, what is the double entry? Closing stock debit 100, cost of sales credit 100. Closing stock එක asset එකක් නිසා අපි closing stock එක debit කරනවා. Why we credit cost of sales? That is the important part. Now you can see when we are preparing the P&L, right? දැන් මේ අවුරුද්දේ purchases වලනේ ළමයි closing මේ අවුරුද්දේ purchase වලින් කිනෙච්ච නැති ටිකනේ cost of sales කියන්නේ. ඔයාලට පේනවද මේ cost of sales calculate කරද්දී closing stock අපි අඩු කරන. Can you hear me guys? Understand? Send me a thumbs. Closing stock අඩු කරන. Cost of sales means expenses. Right? ඉතින් ඒකෙන් අඩු කරනවා. ඒකෙන් අඩු කරනවා. දැන් අපි මේකේ ගත්තොත් එහෙම. Right? But I'll show you another way. මම ඔයාලට full format එක තියෙන එක පෙන්නනවා. කරාගෙන ඉන්න. Two other things. මම ටියුට් එකේ දෙවෙනි පාර්ට් එකේ දාපු right. Now you can see from here. This is the T format I told you. Sales, income මං කියවනේ අර මේ පැත්තට එන්නේ කියලා. Opening stock purchases, the closing stock minus විදියට තියෙන debit side. Debit side එකේ minus කියන්නේ නිකන් credit side වගේ. Can you hear me? Send me thumbs. Debit side එකේ minus කියන්නේ credit side වගේ. Understood? Right? අර අපි ඒ උනාට debit side එකේ තමයි දාන්නේ. දැන් මං කියවනේ ඔයාට මේවා මේ පැත්තත් මතක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. T format එකත් ඔයා මතක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒකයි මම ඒක මුලින්ම ගහලා පෙන්නුවේ. ඒක සමහර අය කියන්නේ නැතුණාට you need to know the T format. Expenses comes under here, income comes under here. Now we prepare using statement format because now this one is not valid, but when we are preparing, you know, now closing stock comes under debit side as minus, right? Which means actually it is a credit side. Hey, api debit side minus කියන්නේ credit side පැත්තේ ලියන්න පුළුවන් වුණාට අපි ලියන්නේ මොකද cost of sales ඔක්කොම එක පැත්තේනේ තියෙන්නේ. The T format is debit side, credit side, right? එතකොට අපි cost of sales වලින් අයින් කරලා දානවා closing stock එකක් විදිහට. So that's why first one, you know, cost of sales debit, closing stock account debit, cost of sales account credit. In the case of when the lower one is the cost from the cost and the net realizable value. But in the second way, the lower value is net realizable value. Can හිතන්න අපිට saleable price එකෙන් expense අඩු කරාම ආපු ගාන 80 කිය. කොහොම වුණත් cost of sales account එක credit වෙන්නේ cost එකම තමයි. දෙකේ අඩු වගේ වුණා cost of sales account එක credit වෙන්නේ stock එකේ cost value එක තමයි. But we debit as closing stock the lower value out of the cost and the net realizable value. This is 80. දැන් බලන්න debit credit tally වෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ. Debit credit 40 120. The balance 40 we write it as stocks write off account debit as expense account. මේක අපි expense account එකක් විදියට expense එකක් විදියට අපි identify කරනවා other expense. ඇයි අපි ගත්ත ගාන අපි දැන් මේ ගත්ත ගාන හරි අපි හදපු ගාන හරි මේ cost එක කියන්නේ. මේ විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ගාන. විකුණන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ගාන අපි ගත්ත ගාන හෝ හදන්න ගිය ගානටත් වඩා අඩුයි. Can you hear me saying it? Right? Which means it is an expense to the business. Understood? It goes to other expense. I want your thumbs up. Right? In the case if only the net realizable value is lower than the cost. Right? දැන් මේ closing stock එක යන්නේ කොහෙටද? SOFP එකේ current assets. මේක යන්නේ P&L එකේ cost of sales. Cost of sales වල minus විදිහට තියෙනවා. Closing. Right? Minus විදිහට නෙමෙයි දැන් cost of sales credit වෙනවා කියන්නේ minus. That is the term. Right? So in here we consider the lower one. You need to select the lowest one. Right? In here the first one, the lowest one is cost. In the case of if the cost is The lowest one, closing stock account debit, cost of sales account credit. But if the lower one is net realizable value, closing stock account debit, cost of sales, stocks write off account debit, cost of sales account credit. Write it and raise your hand. This is about okay. This is about closing stocks. First, write the heading closing stock adjustment and write it and raise your hand. If lower is the cost in the, this is if lower net realizable value. Net realizable value. Net realizable value means sell කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ගාන stock. Once we finish, raise your hands. If there's any concern, send it to the chat box. Done. Sandil and Sigma. Just remember, every time cost of sales credit the cost if the lowest one is out of these two, only the cost, the lowest one is cost, we debit the same amount. But if the lowest one is net realizable value, so there is a stock write-off, right? All good? Right. So you can see in here, this one has been given like without giving the write-off. Huh? Closing stock should be shown under the current assets of the statement of financial position as closings. දැන් හැමතිස්සෙම මතක තියාගන්න SOFP එකේ එන්නේ cost and the lower value of cost and net realizable value. But in P&L every time we write the amount relevant for the දැන් හැබැයි ඕකේ මෙහෙම එකක් තියෙනවා. අතර බලන්න මට තව ටිකක් හොඳට ඔක්කොම කියලා දෙන්න. දැන් ඔයා බලන්න. When we prepare the P, right? I'll take like cost is 100, right? Net realizable value is 100. Now you know in here in SFP under current assets, current assets, current assets, we write the lower one as closing stock. අපි ලියන්නේ closing stock කියලා ලියන්නේ අඩු එක. So the 100, right? In here when we are writing the cost of sales, we write closing stock 100 minus. කොච්චර කරත් sorry 100. මම මෙහෙම ගන්නම්කෝ මේකේ අනිත් පැත්ත පොඩක් අඩු එක ගන්නම්කෝ cost එකට වැඩි එක ගන්නම්කෝ මේකට cost එකට. අර මෙතන දාන්නේ cost එකමනේ මොනවා කරා. එතන දාන්නේ මේ P&L එකේ දාන්නේ cost එකම තමයි cost of sales. SFP එකේ දාන්නේ දෙකෙන් අඩු වගේ. හැබැයි මෙතනදී expense වල other expense under write off කියලා stock write off කියලා 20 එනවා, right? 20 එනවා, right? Stock write off කියලා 20 එනවා. Understood? Send me a thumbs up, right? Then closing stock එක අපි මෙතනින් අඩු කරනවාද? ඇත්තටම අපි මෙහෙම හැදුවොත් එහෙම එතන minus විදියට තියෙන closing stock 120. කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම මේ පැත්තේ තියනවා වගේ තමයි මේ පැත්තට යනවා වගේ තමයි. ඉතින් ඇත්තට මේ පැත්තෙන් income, පැත්තේ ඉන්න expense එක income එකක් නෙමෙයි. මේ asset එකක් අපි මෙතනින් අයින් කරන්නේ මේ මොනවාද? closing stock එකක් we transfer as asset, right? ඊළඟට මෙතන expense එකක් විදිහට එනවා debit side එකේ 20, right? Easy clear to you guys. Don't think about this formatting much, right? ඉතින් ඇත්තටම මෙතන මේ පැත්තට ගියාම 120, අතර මෙතන මයිනස් කියන්නේ නිකන් මේ පැත්තට ලියනවා වගේ. මෙතනින් මේක ගියාමත් නිකන් මේකෙත් එන්නේ 100 වගේ තමයි. ඉතින් ඇත්තටම P&L එක. understand? ඒක ගැන හිතන්න එපා. ලොකුවට නිකන් අර ඔළුව අවුල් කරගන්න ඕනේ. I just want to tell you the full thing, right? No need much thing. Just remember, if there is a stock write-off only, ඒකෙන්නේ other expense වලට, right? Okay. Although a stock isn't in the business, they owe at the end of the accounting year, it should be included in closing stock. Occasion when they are not with the business, they owe. සමහර වෙලාවට goods in transit, ඒ කියන්නේ business එකට එන ගමන් තියෙන stocks සල්ලි දීලා අරගෙන, හැබැයි physical count එකේ නෑ. දැන් ඇත්තටම ගොඩක් වෙලාවට can you hear me guys? Send me a thumbs up. ගැම්මෙන් ඉන්න ඕනේ, නිදා ගන්න බෑ. Only another like 20-25 minutes, right? අපි කරන්නේ physically count කරලා We physically count the closing stock and record it. දැන් ඉස්සර අපි යුනිවර්සිටි ඉන්න කාලේ stock count කියලා එහෙම යනවා. ඒකද physically count කරනවා stock එක කීයද කියලා. count කරලා අපි දෙනවා ඒක book value එකත් එක්ක ඒගොල්ලෝ check කරනවා. Now when it comes to the physical account, this goods in transit is not included. Means we already purchase, but it's still on the way. Think we purchase from another country abroad, right? This one also should include stocks in the agencies with or agent, unexpired goods supply on sales or return basis. මෙන්න මේක මං කියන්නම්. ඒ sales or return basis කියලා අපිට වෙනම එකක් තියෙනවා. මේක තමයි ගොඩක් අය අමාරු කියන හරියට තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ. මම උත ගණන් දෙක තුනකුත් දාලා තියෙනවා. But the thing is we don't have enough time today. Let's see another day, right? Closing should be value for the lower one between the cost and net realizable value. ඔබ කියලා දෙන දේ හරියට කියලා දෙන්න ඕනේ. ටයිම් කියත් ඒකයි මගේ තියරිය. සිම්පල්ලෙන් කියලා දෙන්නේ නැහැ. right? ටයිම් යයි. මේ හරියට කියලා දෙනවා බය වෙන්න. right? සමහරට මේක අපිට තව දවස් 3ක් විතර කරන්න දෙයි. It's okay for me, I'll do. right? So පොත ගණන හදලා ඔක්කොම අතකෙන් right? After physically counting the remaining stock at the end of the period, even in a situation that the net realizable value is lower, first amount of the remaining stock should be shown in the trade account and the lower value should be included in the statement of financial position. Deficit amount of net realizable value should be cut off. Maybe you better to write it as write off. Write off. Just change it as write off from the profit as an expense. Right? Net realizable value means estimated selling price of the stock, estimated and completing expense. Right? Right. Activity numbers, exercise number 6. Let's do number 6. Following are the information about closing stock of Lalani's business as at 31st December 2019. Right. Let's see. When we are taking, you can see, calculate the remaining stock. First, we need to find in here, given you the cost, you can see the cost. This is the estimated selling price, selling expenses. To get the net realizable value, we need to deduct it, the net realizable value. We need to find the net realizable value. So I'll take net realizable value. If I take this is 1, this is 2, 1 minus 2, right? In here 20. Selling price again, selling expense adu karaham net realizable value. In here 28. 28. In here 40. In here 70. Right? There are 4 stocks. Right? So in here we need to select first of all, right, the lowest one in here, lowest one out of the cost and the net realizable value, lowest one. In the first one, you know, the lowest one is this one. In second one, this one out of 28 and 35. Third one, fourth one. Is it clear to you guys? Send me a thumbs up. Right? Do the workings as well. I don't know whether you got the printouts as well. Sorry, I send it around 3, 2, right? Is it clear to you? Send me a thumbs up. Hello. Hope you are there, right? Online. රෑ ක්ලාස් දාන්න නැත්නම් නිදා ගන්නවා. හරියන්නේ. Right. So let's do exercise number 6 now. Numbers. Okay, first we calculate the cost. Cost අපි ගන්නේ cost එකෙන්ම තමයි. දැන් අපි අපි cost එක වැඩි කරමු. මොකද to present in the P&L as cost of sales, we take only the cost. මම කිව්වා අඩු ගාන නෙමේ, right? We take the cost. There are 4 things: A, B, C, D. A, B, C, and D. Right? So A 100, 200, 100, 200, 50 and 75. 50 and 70. Right? So when we the cost present in the P&L, right? In here we take the cost 14, 35, 14, 35, 42 and 10. I want your answers, 42 and 10. So this amount we present in P&L under cost of sale. The cost of sale. Right? So now we need to take the lower one of the cost then net realizable value දෙකෙන්ම lower එක අරගෙන ඒක තමයි අපි ලියන්නේ කොහෙද? That one we record under SOFP as a current assets. Hope you can come on. This one we record in SOFP as current assets. බලමු පළවෙනි මේකේ අඩු එක 14. දෙවෙනි එක මේකේ අඩු එක 28. Right? ඊළඟේ අඩු එක 40. ඊළඟේ අඩු එක 10. 750. Multiply and tell me the answer. 700. එහෙම ඕනෙත් නෑ. ඔයාලට ඕන නම් මෙහෙම බලන්නත් පුළුවන්. කෙලින්ම net realizable value එක වෙනම ගමු. just wait. ඔයාලට තව දෙපාරක් calculate කරන්න වෙනවා. අපි මෙහෙම ගමු. කෙලින්ම දෙවෙනියට net realizable value එක ගමු. ඊට පස්සේ අපිට බලන්න පුළුවන් net realizable value එක අපි බලනවා. right? දැන් net realizable value එක ගත්තොත් අපි ඒක විතරක් right? මොකද මේකදී අපි show the journal ඔක්කොම calculate the remaining stock and show the accounts නේ. ඉතින් මේකේ net realizable value ටික වෙනම ගමු 20. දැන් මං ගත්ත එකකින් ඉන්නේ first එකෙන් ඉන්නේ කොහොමත් P&L එකට යන එක, second එකෙන් ඉන්නේ SFP එකට යන එක. ඒ stock write off එකක් තිබ්බොත් විකාන identity. Right? So 20, 28, 40 and 70. Now just multiply and tell. Now just multiply. In here, 100 into 40 means 100, 1 4 doubles, 1 4 doubles. 200 into 35 means 7,000. 50 into 42 means 2,100. In here, 2,000. 28 into 200 means 5,600. 50 into 40 means 2,000. 75 into 17, which means 1,270. මගේ answers වැරදි නම් කියන්න. 1,400, 7,000, 2,100, 750. 11,250. In here, 2,000, 5,600, 2,000, 1,275. 10,870. Just change the answer. Okay. So this is the cost. You know what is the double entry level is. You can write the double entry as well. So the lower one is what? You know the lower one is net realizable value, right? The lower one, there's a difference of stocks right of 10,875. $375 is the write-off. You know, you can write the double entry. Closing stock debit. Closing stocks debit. The lower one, 10,875. Stocks write-off debit 375. Cost of sales P&L කියලා තියෙන්නේ. Ready? The cost 7,200. Cost එක තමයි කොහොමද? This goes to the SFP under current assets. This one goes to the P&L as other expense. This one also goes to the P&L when calculating the gross profit එකට යන cost of sales එකේ තමයි එන්නේ. Finish it and raise your hands. If it is clear to you, send me a thumbs up. Just once you finish raising, Anil, hope you have done right. Right. I do the 7 and 8 as well. Do the 7 and 8 as well. 7 and 8. I want you to do. I'll give you few minutes. Do the 7 and 8. Do the 7 and 8 as well. Hope you have done it. Hope all done. Shall we do this? Following are the information about the closing stock of limited Lila business as at 31st March 2019. Calculate the remaining stocks and show the account. Right, right. So exercise number 7, right? Okay. Now there is a cost you can see. There are, when we calculate the cost, it x, y, z. The quantity is 150, 60, and 40. 150, 60, and 40. Now the price is 5, 20, 50. 5, 20, and 50. 5, 20, and 50. Net realizable value can calculate by, in here you know, 10, 28, 22. 10, 28, 22. In here 150, 1200. So you can see 40 into 50, 600. In here 1500. 60 into 28, which means 1608. 40 into 22, 880, plus 1680, plus 1500, 406. Here 750 plus 1200 plus 100, 2000 to 500. Correct, right? If it is wrong, let me know. All correct up to here, guys? You know, the lower one is cost. You can write the double in. Closing stock debit, 2500. Cost of sales, credit, 2500. Since the lower one is cost, මම අර මෙහෙම දැම්මේ අර equality වල අඩු පැත්ත පෙන්නන්න. Right? So since the lower one is cost, there is no any write off. Right. Do 8 as well. Hope all good, right? Right. If cost of sale is 160 of business, sorry, cost of stocks is 160 of the Kumara's business as at 31st March 2019. If the net realizable value is 130 and 180, two situations, 180. Let's see. First one, cost of sales 160. Sorry, cost of stock cost 160. Stock cost 160. There are two situations. Net realizable value 130. 180. In the first one, you know, the lower one is what? Lower one. Second one, right? So I don't have enough space to write, so I'll expand this. When we write the double entry for the first one, you know, cost of closing stock debit, closing stock debit, debit, the lower one, 130,000. Stocks write off, debit, 30,000. Closing stocks, credit, cost When it comes to the second one, you know, the lower one is the cost. So closing stock debit 100,000.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in the first one, 160,000 should be cost of sale.
Ah, yeah, cost of cost of cost of sale, right? Yeah. Cost of sales credit 100, the double it, right? Next one. Right. Next one. Value added to the trade account. Trade means P and L, right? අර අපි ඉස්සර T format එකේ gross profit වෙනකන් අපි ආපු එකට කිව්වේ trade account. මෙතන දාන්නේ trade account එකට දාන්නේ cost එකම තමයි. No doubt, right? So 160, 100. But in first one, we prepare write the lower one 130. Here the low one 160. Next one, impact to the profit. You know, look here, right? When the closing stock increases, what will happen? You know, when the closing stock increases, right? Cost of sales decreases. I'll write like this 100, right? So think, right? I'll do like this sales 100 minus cost of, right? Opening stock 20, purchases 10, 10, then you know 30. Cost of goods to be sold, goods to be sold minus closing stock. Closing stock. I'll take closing stock as 10, right? Then the cost of sales is, you know, gross profit means sales minus cost of sales. 100 minus 20 means 8, right? Easy clear to you guys? Send me the thumbs up, right? Now let's see what will happen when the closing stocks decreases and closing stocks increases. All other are same. In here, closing stocks decreased to 5, increased to 15. So when the closing stock decreased to 5, in here 25, right? So 100 minus 25 means 75. 100 minus 25 means 75. 100 minus 85, right? Send me a thumbs up if it is clear to you, right? When the closing stock increases, gross profit also increases. When the closing stock decreases, gross profit also decreases. There is a which relationship? Positive relations, positive relationship among closing stock and the gross profit. Positive relationship among closing stock and gross profit, right? When the closing stock increases, when the closing stock decreases. All others same. Is it clear to you? Send me a thumbs up. Hope it is clear. Okay, now let's see. Impact to the profit, right? දැන් මෙතන cost of sales අඩු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. පරිගාන්ට වඩා අඩු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. පරිගාන්ට වඩා අඩු වුණොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? profit එකත් අඩු වෙනවා. Right? Impact to the profit. දැන් මෙතන impact to the profit we concerned from here back to the profit. So here instead of taking no, now දැන් අපි කොහොම ගත්තත් P&L එකට ගන්නේ same මේ amount එකනේ 116. හැබැයි මේකේ විතරක් write off එකකුත් එනවා 160 තමයි cost of sales වලට එන්නේ. මේකේ write off එකකුත් එනවා. So impact to the profit actually both of these two what we write back to the profit. Now you know the relationship, huh? Right? You know the relationship. In P&L we write the same, right? In here, instead of writing the higher value, we write the lower value, right? We write in here uh, lower value we write in the SFP, so nothing actually impact to the profit. This constant thing because we write the same, right? Just ignore it. We can't write anything in here. Stuck to the profit, right? Just ignore it. Finish it and raise your hands. It's like this, Habe. When in net realizable value fails below its cost, there is a write down requirement, right? So in the income statement, increase the cost of sales and reduce in profit decrease, because there's a write down as well, right? So there is the increase because of these things. Because why we decrease, there is a write off. Easy, clear to you guys? Send me a thumbs up. Hope it's clear to you, right? Because there's a write off thing, we can take it, right? Because it's kind of an expense, right? Now you know damaged goods and other things we will learn. මෙන්න මේ ටික very important නා. ආයි අපිට දවසක් දාගන්න වෙනවා. Just finish those, still only first things. තාම මේ ටික ඉවරත් නෑ. මේ ටිකට එක දවසක් යනවා. මේ ටිකට තව දවසක් එක්ක maths හදන්න. Especially මේ impairment losses එහෙම හරියටම කියලා දෙන්න. Because it useful for the company accounts as well. I will update the group about the other things, and what I want to tell you, tomorrow morning I will be able, but it depends because I'm not well. But anyhow, I did today, right? සමහර චුට්ටක් උදේ ඉන්දස්ටිකේ පොඩ්ඩක් අමාරු ඉන්නේ. උදේ ඊයේත් මේ රෑ වෙනකන් ටියුට් එක හැදුවා. පෙරේදත් හැදුවා. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තව ටියුට්ස් වගේක් එනවා ඉස්සරහට. accounting concept එක, ඊට පස්සේ error correction එක මම තාම දුන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක දෙන්න. concept ඊට පස්සේ NPU ඉතින් ඔක්කොම මේ ටිකේ හැදෙන ගමන් ඉන්නේ. ටිකක් මම LMS එකට අප්ලෝඩ් කරන්න. easy creative send me manufacturing accounts to, right? දැන්ට මම අප්ලෝඩ් කරපු ඒවායි homeworks කරන්න අපි කරපු නැති ඒවට අමතරව you know I uploaded bank rec correction දුන්නේ ඒවට අමතරව තව ඒකේ maths part තියෙනවා. So bank rec and control accounts. So I'll do the other things, right? So there's a part 2 in here as well, na? මේකට එනවා දැන් page number 15 වෙනකන් මේ මේතන තියෙන්නේ වෙනකන් තියෙන්නේ 17 ඉඳන් තව 50 වගේ වෙනකන් එකක් එනවා. ඒක මේකටම attach කරගන්න. ඌවට පස්සේ I'll send it, right? Okay, let's see. Let's meet and I'll update the group, huh? Keep up in the group, right? Thank you for the participation. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Good night.